Pregnancy discrimination. What are your maternity rights in the workplace? Are you currently working and pregnant? Are you currently a mother and working? Are you planning on having children or being pregnant and working sometime in the future? Hi ladies, it's Abby McKenna here from Ready Set Mum, and today we are going to be laying out for you what your maternity rights are in the workplace, the kind of treatment that you can expect from your employer, and the considerations that should be made for you. I'm also going to give you some examples about what pregnancy discrimination is and help to point you in the right direction in case you do experience pregnancy discrimination. Because as a pregnant woman or as a mother, you are entitled to and can absolutely expect the same treatment and opportunities in the workplace as every other employee. Now, it's a fact that 3/4 of women who are currently in the workforce or entering the workforce will be pregnant and working at some time. And really interestingly, the EEOC, or the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, has actually stated that in the last decade, charges filed against pregnancy discrimination have increased by 35%. So the reason we're doing this is because being forewarned is being forearmed. You can know what to expect, you can know what you can ask for, what considerations need to be made for you, and you can also know about your entitlements and how you go about getting these. Now, studies have shown that women and men without children who are in the same positions as women with children or who are pregnant are paid more, they're valued more, meaning that pregnant women and mothers are valued less, even though some studies also show that pregnant women or mothers are actually more focused, more engaged, more effective, and more efficient at work, probably because we're crazily flexible and we can do so much stuff all at once, even with little people on our mind. But regardless of this, there are a lot of stereotypes that, after speaking to a lot of women, they have faced in the workplace. I've heard mothers are lazy. I've heard mothers getting a hard time because they have to pick up one of their sick kids from school, or they have to take a day off due to their pregnancy conditions, or they have to take lighter duties. This wouldn't happen for anyone else that needed medical considerations or considerations outside of the workplace. So it's not fair to expect it if you are a pregnant mother, or accept that kind of treatment, get that kind of treatment if you are a pregnant mother or a working woman with children. So what is pregnancy discrimination? Pregnancy discrimination is a type of employment discrimination. Pregnancy discrimination specifically relates to when a woman is treated unfavourably due to being pregnant or childbirth or related medical conditions. Pregnancy discrimination and other types of workplace discrimination are actually outlawed. They're illegal in countries like America and the USA. So what does this actually mean, and what does this look like? This means that you can expect equal, fair, and the same treatment as any other employee who is not pregnant. You can expect the same kind of treatment and opportunities around anything to do with employment. This means accommodating your conditions and making considerations for your conditions. This is things like hiring, firing, roles, duties, access and fair opportunity for promotions, benefits, health insurance. You must be treated the same way as everybody else. Same with leave entitlements, ladies, and we will talk about that really, really soon. So what does pregnancy discrimination look like? What are some examples of that? Some examples that I hear all over the place are when women have rocked up to apply for a job or a job interview, their potential employer has actually addressed them and asked them if they're currently pregnant, if they're planning on being pregnant in the future, or if they have children or are planning on fostering or adopting children. No man would be asked this. You cannot be asked this in a job application or interview. Another form of pregnancy discrimination is being asked to reapply for that job after you have completed the term of your pregnancy. You can also expect to have your condition considered. So, as an example, if you have a condition or a temporary condition as a result of your pregnancy or childbirth, such as gestational diabetes, you must have the same considerations made for you, including leave without pay, as another employee who was temporarily disabled. And this actually comes under the Disability Act. You are protected by laws against discrimination. So if you feel like you are being discriminated against, there are ways that you can go about it. The first is to talk to your supervisor or someone who is superior. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can go to your HR team and speak to them about it. And if that doesn't work or you don't feel comfortable, make sure you check out the article on Ready Set Mum, because we've got some great advice there about how you can go and find lawyers to actually support you through this process. Maternity leave. What is it? Are you entitled to it? And what do you need to know about it? Maternity leave is the leave that you are entitled to if you qualify in order to take care of yourself, your conditions, and your baby. There's two types of maternity leave, both paid and unpaid, and people that qualify for this type of leave will be eligible for between 12 weeks and 56 weeks of leave, depending on the state that you are in and also the company that you are employed by. Now, different states have different maternity leave laws and temporary disability laws, so it's really important that you understand the laws in which come under your state to know what you're entitled to, so make sure that you look that up. And they also differ from company to company. So it's really important that you not only read but completely understand the terms and conditions within your contract and the company policies and entitlements that are included in your workplace when you are signing your contract. So let's for a start take a look at unpaid maternity leave. Under the Family Medical Leave Act, new parents, including adoptive parents, foster parents, and fathers, are entitled to take 12 weeks of unpaid maternity leave. What this means is that after the 12 weeks that you take, your employer must reinstate you with the same or an equivalent position. And if your employer was providing you with health insurance and health care before you took your maternity leave and before you took the leave that you're entitled to, they must also provide the same type of care throughout your leave. Now, in order for you to be able to access this maternity leave, you must qualify, meet a certain criteria, and so must your employer. So in order for you to qualify, you must have worked for a minimum of 12 months leading up to your leave, prior to your leave, and a minimum of 1,250 hours. In order for your employer to qualify for this, they must employ, are you ready? They must employ a minimum of 50 people within a 75-meter radius. So what does this mean? Let's look at an example. Let's say you took 3 weeks off before your due date, and lo and behold, you're one of the lucky 4% and your baby is born on the due date. You've already had 3 weeks leave leading up to your birth of your baby. Your baby is then born and you can take another 9 weeks leave. This isn't so good for people with medical conditions that have to take their leave earlier. Some people may need 12 weeks off due to conditions and they may need to be in bed rest leading up to their pregnancy. Let's say you had a preemie baby that was born 6 weeks early, you take the 6 weeks off, you're then entitled to another 6 weeks of maternity leave thereon after. Okay, so what about paid maternity leave? What is it and how do you go about getting it? What do you need to know about it? So paid maternity leave is just that. Paid maternity leave means that you will receive some form of payment across the entire time for some of the time of your leave, or in some cases you may get a percentage of your average wage. Now, paid leave comes in the form of just that. Paid leave, or it may be temporary disability insurance. Now, once again, some companies provide both, some companies provide one, some don't provide any. So it's really important, I cannot stress enough, that you understand the terms and conditions and what you're entitled to in the contract of your company. Now, in America, these laws also differ from state to state. So go out and find out what you are supported for by your state and what you are entitled to. States such as Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, and Hawaii are amongst some of the lucky ones. And if you are a working pregnant mum within California, then you are amongst the luckiest, because you are supported to the point where no woman who is eligible for 12 weeks maternity pay will go for that entire time without receiving anything. So you will receive some form of paid maternity leave. But what about those who don't live in a state that is supported by that? What about those women whose companies do not offer paid leave or temporary disability insurance? What about the women who do not qualify for paid maternity leave? What you can do is start thinking about it now. Start making a budget. You can use your recreation leave, your personal days, and your sick days that you have accrued to help you out during that time. But if you are not eligible for paid maternity leave, the best thing that you can do is be prepared. So take a few days to sit down, make a budget, start saving, do what you need to do in order to get through that time so that you can spend some time taking care of yourself and bonding with your beautiful baby. Now, if you're receiving and are entitled to health insurance in your workplace, this health insurance must consider the costs of pregnancy. Your employer is also not allowed to terminate, or your health insurance provider is not allowed to terminate your health insurance throughout the period of your maternity leave. They must continue it. The only way that an employer or a health insurance company can terminate their cover is if you were pregnant when you enrolled in the plan. Now, there must be no limitations placed on your health insurance due to being pregnant. You're entitled for costs to be covered in things such as ambulance, x-ray and laboratory costs. You're also entitled to receive the same cover of costs and reimbursements as in people and employers who are not pregnant. Now, health insurance should consider covering costs of contraceptives. Very, very interesting. And it's also really important to note that health insurance does not have to cover the costs that arise due to an abortion. But if there are conditions that threaten your life that arise as a result of having an abortion, so if there are complications due to having an abortion, then your health insurance should consider covering these costs. Put shortly and simply, you can expect the same kind of treatment as any other employer. If you are pregnant and considerations need to be made in order to accommodate for you, that is absolutely fine. Make sure you speak up. As an example, there's a lot of women out there that do strenuous and physical jobs. It may mean that you need to be put on light duties. It also means that your pay and your hours cannot be docked. You can expect to not be harassed just because you are pregnant. I've heard a number of stories where women are treated begrudgingly by their co-workers because they have to go and have prenatal care. They have to go and pick their kids up early if they're a mother, or their kids are sick. You shouldn't be harassed over these things, and you should not be reprimanded for it either. Another thing that you can expect is that religious views will not limit your access to employment. So there are a number of cases where women have in fact been fired because they have been pregnant outside of wedlock and it doesn't align with the religious views of the company. If they wouldn't do that to any other employer, they are unable to do that to you as well. No, you do not have to inform your employer that you're pregnant. However, it is highly advisable. The reason it's highly advisable is, number one, changes are going to happen, and number two, there may be considerations that need to be made for you. You may have conditions or situations that come up. For example, you may need to be put on light duties, and you may need to let your employer know that these are coming up so that they can best plan and best provide you with the duty of care that you are entitled to. First thing that you need to do is check the guidelines related to your employer. Make sure that they align with the state laws when it comes to paid leave and temporary disability insurance. Then all you need to do is go through your HR policies and follow the steps. Very, very simple. Not every employer is terrible. There are a lot of absolutely fantastic employers and workplaces out there. I have experienced some brilliant employers whilst I was working and pregnant. You can approach them to negotiate some of your ideas and some of your needs. As an example, I was able to bring my baby into work sometimes, and there was also opportunities for me to fulfill some of my tasks and duties at home, which meant that I worked one day a week from home so that I could be with my baby. During that time, I was still able to perform the tasks and duties that were necessary for me to do. My employer was happy, I was happy, I got to spend time with my baby. At the end of the day, you don't know unless you don't ask. So approach your employers and ask for considerations and ask to negotiate some ways that you can do things differently when you become a mum, if that's what you want to do. All right, ladies, make sure you head to Ready Set Mum and check out our article on pregnancy discrimination and maternity rights. Let us know what you think. Send us your questions. Give this video a like and a share to anyone that you think might find it valuable and might need it. And we'll see you back here really soon at Ready Set Mum.